Hi, everyone. I'm Kim, and I'm here with Shira and Taris. Unfortunately, Lee and Juji can't be with us today. We are 5 friends, speakers, and professionals from different cultures, backgrounds, and age groups coming together to offer healing and inspiration. Today, we are going to explore the concept of willpower, or as it's more commonly known, won't power. Many times we falsely believe that we need to have more discipline when the truth is that it's not that we can't, it's that we won't. So girls, let's identify an area in your life where you're super disciplined and another where you just have total resistance. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. This is such an interesting topic. It really is, because I consider myself a pretty disciplined person, but only when it comes to certain things. And I guess that's like humanity. But so an area where I really have tremendous discipline is in my meditation practice, because I do it every single day and have for years. It's kind of like brushing my teeth. Like, I cannot start my day without it. And I know that it's going to help me. And I know that it's going to keep me grounded and peaceful, and, or at the very least, more calm and peaceful than I would be if I hadn't done it. So it's become such a practice for me. I don't even look at it as discipline. I look at it as a habit. It's a habit. And an area where I have resistance, which is so bizarre because you guys know I'm a songwriter. You know, I write music, I write poems. And I just have such inconsistency with it, especially, you know, as my new life has unfolded. I made a commitment a few months ago. I'm like, I'm on my own now. I'm going to write a song a month. And I was just like, I'm doing this. And I haven't at all. And I'm like, where is this resistance coming from? Like, I just feel the resistance. Like, the days go by, the weeks go by, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, this is who you are. What the hell? And I don't know, I'm having a lot of like this inside me with it. And I don't quite know why.
Well, Shira, do you think on some level, maybe you don't want to, and I don't know, you tell me, but do you think on some level that maybe right now you don't want to do that, but you feel guilty about admitting that to yourself?
You know what? It's not that I don't want to. It's that, well, it's actually interesting. I don't know if it's that I don't want to. You know, I have this new job and it's taking up a lot of my time. And I'm also getting back into the dating world, and I have you guys in this show. So I guess part of it is like, where are you squeezing that in? Like, maybe you're being unrealistic with your expectations that, oh, now I'm just going to write a song a month because I'm going to have all this time. And it's like, no, like, take a step back. There are 24 hours in a day. Ideally, you should be sleeping for 8 of them. So you only have 16 hours. You're working 8 of those. You know what I mean? You got to eat, you got to this, you got to that.
Maybe you're just lacking some form of the right inspiration, right? Like, you may not really know what you're supposed to be writing about. So I feel like if something triggered you and you were like, yes, that's it. That's what I'm supposed to be writing a song on. Then I feel like you would just sit down and just write it.
Well, it's funny you're saying that, because Shira has about 50 songs that are either almost done, ideas for, or like in the middle of. So I am not lacking for any like content or ideas for songs. I think it's more about, there's probably like a few things in my head going on. One of them is what I just said, which is totally excused, because you could find a half an hour in a day to write the song. I think the other part of me is this, like, you know, just getting back into it. And it's like, all right, well, what do you want to do with your songs, Shira? Like, you want to have an album or put it out there or inspire people. It's like, that's a whole other career. And I just overwhelm myself in my head instead of like, just write a song. Like, you don't have to do anything with it. Just write it. Just be creative. That's.
Yeah, I actually really relate. It's almost like you're just looking potentially on like a deeper level, looking way towards the future that doesn't exist, and almost getting overwhelmed by what kind of comes with what you do after you write those songs, instead of just being present, enjoying your passion, which is writing songs. Yeah. And instead of just doing that and letting that just be the be all, like just just write the song and enjoy that process and not think about anything that comes after it.
It's true. It's totally true.
So do you think that it's more of that, more of just like this overwhelm of what comes along with that?
I've actually been working on that. I've been working through the just be creative, Shira, just enjoy the process, be in the flow. I think it's not like I haven't written it all. I think there are times where I've been writing where I'm just kind of stuck, you know? And so then I get frustrated, and then it's just like, and then the thought of the next day or the next week going back to it, it's just like, yeah, well, you're just, you know, you're just kind of in a stuck mode. And then I just like label my phase instead of just going, just try again. Just do it again.
Or don't. Or today I'm taking a vacation from it, and that's okay.
Right.
And
But the
giving
thing is,
yourself-
I remember hearing a speaker once, his name is Mike Raber, and he was so amazing. He was like a speaker and a comedian and a musician. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm totally relating to you right now. And he asked the audience, all right, who here is a writer, right? And a whole bunch of people like raised their hands, and he picked one out and he goes, so how often do you write? And he's like, you know, whenever. You're not a writer. If you're not writing every day, then you're not a writer. And everyone was just like, ugh. But the thing is, if you want to make it part of who you are, whether it's a career or not, I'm not saying you have to write every day if it's just a hobby, but I consider myself a songwriter. I need to be writing all the time if that's what I really want to be. Forget about career or whatever. Like, that's who I am. I'm not being true to who I am.
I'm just thinking, if on some level, and I'm going to go a little deep here, I know that's who you are. I know that's what you want to do with your life full time. Do you think on some level you don't believe that's possible, or that's
well,
that will happen for you?
That's not necessarily what I want. I don't necessarily want to be a songwriter full time at all. In fact, the speaking and the inspiring children and all of that is really what I want. I want to infuse music into it. But that's like a whole other discussion about direction and career and all of that. It's more about being true to myself by doing the things that make me feel alive.
Yeah.
And
writing songs make me
I'm
feel...
shutting that off a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Not quite sure why, but this discussion is helping me. I'm already like,
well,
like,
you're so aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we're resistant of something, we are so aware of it. It's almost like we see it, but we don't do anything about it, you know?
Yeah.
And then sometimes we're just not aware of it. Taras, what is one thing that, you know, like, give your examples of something you have a lot of willpower with, and then something that you don't?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I actually always have like a pretty good routine in the morning, in the afternoon, and night. And I don't know what it is now. I think it's just like everything that's going on in life. I actually am like really pulling away from like all of my disciplines. Like I'm almost like throwing my hands up in the air and I'm like, oh, I'm done. So it's interesting because when I had to stop and think about this, I'm like, okay, what am I not doing that I should be doing every single day? So one thing is gluten. Like I cannot handle gluten. My body does not respond to it. Same thing with coffee. I'm a runner. Coffee does not do my body well. And, you know, I used to religiously just keep it out, and now just not. So for me, what is that? Is that willpower? Is that discipline? Like, I mean, I have had discipline on it, but I don't right now. And I think it's just like time of life, what's going on. Like, so what I am still doing, the only thing that I am still doing, and I haven't like given up on, I'm still very disciplined, is because I guess I run so much, or I'm very active. I do a lot of stretching, and I still go and I do my acupuncture and my chiropractic treatments and my nerve healing. So like that's religious in my life. But if I don't do that, I can't work out. Like working out and not doing all of the recovery does not work for my body, and I know how it feels. So I won't eliminate the practice.
Well, and it makes sense because, you know, you mentioned earlier, like just being inspired. you just said you can't work out and have have this optimal performance with your body if you don't do all of these healing practices. So you're just completely driven to do those things, and they're like Shira's meditation. Like it's just like brushing your teeth. It's like it's a part of your day. But with the other things, your routine, you know, with gluten and coffee and that sort of thing. I mean, you've had a lot of. First of all, we're coming out of hopefully coming out of a pandemic, so life has just changed for you and everybody. You know, you're working from home now. It's not like, you know, you have your old schedule, but also Taras, you have a new love in your life, and that changes everything. I remember when I first met my husband.
He forces me to eat gluten.
It's not that it forces you. It's that, you know, you want to, like, I remember when I met Mike, my husband, and I was like you know, I was on my psoriasis healing journey, like mad, like really strict. And I wanted to go to the bars with him and his friends.
Yeah.
And just the temptation of having fried food in front of me, I couldn't resist. And you want to also, you know, have wine and dessert and share that experience, because it like helps bond you almost. It's like fun and exciting. And so I get it.
Yeah, and that's willpower. You know what I mean? And I have very strong willpower, except when I get like emotionally weak. When I get emotionally weak, that willpower goes right out the window. Like, I don't know why.
Well, it's called being a human being.
Yeah, I know, but I don't really like it. Like, I don't like being human.
I think it's like that for probably most of the planet, and I'm sure they don't like it either.
Yeah. I feel like it's some kind of an addiction. I mean, for me, right? So like, let's say that there is some nice little treat and it has gluten in it. And I'm like, oh my God, I know what I feel like after I have that. I get all these reward senses in my brain. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to make me feel so good. And it does make you feel so good. But then it makes you feel so bad.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say, you remember how bad you feel when you do this, so don't do it. You're looking at the other side.
Oh, I mean, you know, you have a nice little cookie treat, right?
Yeah.
With tons of gluten in it. Those cookies are super good, right? Like, I love cookies. I'm a cookie junkie.
Yeah.
And it feels good. And then all of a sudden the headache comes on and you feel like, ugh, and tired. And I mean, and just to know what it's doing to your gut, it's like, I should, right, mentally have the willpower and be like, but it's so much worse than it is good.
Well, and I feel like that should word just gets us in trouble. That is like such a bad word. It needs to be like banished from our vocabulary.
Should?
Yes, you should. Right. The word should, I understand why you're using it, because your body does not like gluten. It doesn't agree with it. It makes you feel terrible after the fact. You know how it feels, and it doesn't work for you. But then there's that added layer of guilt when we're like, well, I shouldn't eat this or I shouldn't do that. It's like, I should make more time for the things I'm passionate about. It just adds this other layer of emotional yuck that just makes it worse.
Yeah, totally. I get that. But then again, you're like, well, why are you laying that on yourself? Is it because you feel like a failure because you lost your willpower? Are you not disciplined? Like, I think the three of us, like, we have that mindset, right? We are very disciplined humans and females, and we're entrepreneurs and we're go-getters, and we're always, you know, like, singing to a higher tune than a lot of other people. And it's like, you know what, if we let ourselves down with one little thing, we're just a little more harsher on ourselves, right? Like,
yeah, you know, first of all, we have to understand that, you know, no matter who you are in life, you're going to have issues in that world, in that realm of discipline. The thing that's helped me along the way is the idea that whenever you feel yourself, you know, falling off the wagon or going backwards or whatever, it's like, you know, a lot of people go, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll get back on the track next week, or I'll start on the first of the month, or whatever. It's like this way of rationalizing. But the truth of it is that the next minute you can change your mind. The next nanosecond, you can go, nope, I'm back now. We have this like delayed start point that sort of it's an excuse. That's all it is. But I love the idea that every minute you can change, every single minute.
Yeah. And I really relate to that, because most of my life, that was me with everything. It was like, oh, I'll start tomorrow. Oh, I already, especially with my skin journey, oh, I already had gluten today or had something acidic today. I'll just start
Right.
fresh.
But why not have more for the rest of the day?
Yes, yes, because I'm like, well, I'm enjoying it so much, so why not enjoy it for the rest of the day? And I'll just start fresh tomorrow. It's an excuse to enjoy more of it, and but it's going to be okay because there's always tomorrow.
Yep.
Right.
And then you have all of these todays that string together into weeks and months and possibly even years of putting off what you know is good for you. And that's how, a lot of people sort of just get depressed, and because they're just not willing to do the hard work every day that it takes to get your life back on track, even if just in one area that is good for you.
I think I mean, this isn't, everyone's built very differently, but for me, it's like I have to really want it. Like everything in my body has to say, hell yes. For me to just not be like, just get into a mindset of like, nothing else is worth it than doing this. My examples, just to lead into that.
Can I ask you what your examples are?
Well, my one, the place that I have, I feel very good self-control over is food. But that's because I'm very driven by a skin disease that's on the outside for everyone to see. So if I continually all year long eat a lot of acidic foods that cause inflammation, I'm going to feel totally ashamed and insecure and self-conscious and ugly. And I'm going to feel these things that, the skin disease brings up in me. So I want to feel confident. I want to feel great all the time. And the way for me to do that is a big piece of it. One big piece is through food. So I'm driven by this, I have such motivation behind why I'm really focused with food in a good way. Doesn't mean I don't fall off the wagon. Doesn't mean I don't emotionally eat. Because Taris, like you, if I feel emotional, this week I felt so emotional. I was eating very late last night, which I don't normally do, but it made me feel better. So sometimes I'm not perfect, I'm human, but for the most part, I know what to go back to. And I have to say, I'm really grateful for psoriasis. Never thought I'd say that in my life. I'm so grateful for it because it not only taught me how to eat healthy, but it just ingrained in me this really good feeling in my body that now I can't go backwards. If I have something that's really bad for me and I don't feel great, I just know what's going to make me feel good, and I can always return to that. So I'm grateful for the disease for that
and
reason.
what's the one that you're not disciplined about?
I was thinking a lot about this, and I was actually struggling. I know there's things. Well, I guess sometimes with work I struggle because I have some clients that I work. I do accounting for some clients, and there are just days where I guess deep down I just don't feel like working. So I'll just kind of create all these excuses why I can't get to that and why I'll do that over the weekend, or it's like and then I end up overwhelmed. I end up in overwhelm, and it's like, why do I do? So I think that I struggle with, but a big one I wanted to mention that it's not as big of a struggle. It's really not a struggle for me today, but it was most of my life. So I think it's really important to mention. But a huge place I had resistance about that I think a lot of people could relate to most of my life was with money, was with saving money. There was always excuses why I couldn't save. When I lived in the city for a long time, it was the fact that living in the city was expensive. And every time I walked down the street, I would want to buy a coffee or get a snack or stop into Urban Outfitters and see what's on sale, or like it had so much at my fingertips, and there was always excuses. Maybe, oh, I don't make enough, or it doesn't even matter. It was always an excuse. And I always felt I got in my own way. And only now in my 40s, that's shifted because I've, really made it a priority to have a healthy relationship with money.
Doesn't it feel so good?
It feels amazing. And I have to say, looking back, it's much easier now for me to see why that resistance was there. And it had to do, I think, with my self-worth. I think that somewhere deep, deep, deep down, that resistance to saving money was something that had to do with me feeling like I deserved it. And you know, that's a whole other conversation we can get into sometime. But I just thought it was important to mention today because I'm sure a lot of people have a resistance of saving money, even if it's $1 a week or $10 a week. I think some people just feel like they don't have it. And
Yeah. I have to say, I think discipline and worthiness are very much connected. They are, because you will do the things that require discipline because you know that you're worth having a better life. You're worth having more happiness, more joy, more fulfillment. Like you are worthy of that. And I also just wanted to say, you know, me in quotes, right? I read a quote a few years ago that said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And I was like, holy cow, that is so true. And so now I try to uncover, well, you did that kind of hastily and you didn't really follow through on that. Like, who are you? Like, is that who you are? Is that who you want to be? So I like that self-reflection.
yeah, I love that. Well, why don't we, do you guys want to go around and just give a little bit of our tips and pearls of wisdom and, you know, end that way?
Sure.
Sure. I actually have a good little pearl of wisdom, and it's going to bounce off of Shira, what you basically just said. I do think that there is a point of worthiness within discipline, and I think that in order to structure our discipline possibly a little greater within ourselves and accomplish, you know, positive, I don't know, things that we want to carry out, like a system or something, sitting down and developing it, right? Like knowing your worthiness, knowing what your worth is every single day for the way that you feel, for the way that you want to act, your mental state, your physical state, just writing things down that will get you to that place, and then create, you know, like a little routine or some kind of discipline act, you know, to just help yourself out a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents on that. And that is that I think a lot of people struggle with discipline. And I think being a lone wolf and constantly getting on your own case for not having done something is such a waste of time, that if you really want to accomplish something and you just have tremendous resistance, get help. Like there are people out there that are coaches that know how to bring the best out in you and how to inspire you and how to change your thinking and all. So like get the help that you need. And
or read, like find a book that associates with it. I'm reading a great book right now, Brainwash by Dr. Perlmutter. And I have to tell you, I didn't expect it to talk about just this, but it does. And it's fascinating and it just makes you think.
And I'm going to give you another book called The Habit Loop. I forgot the author. He's like a news correspondent or something. Amazing book, making the connection between the outcome and trigger points. You know, really interesting book, The Habit Loop.
Let's put both of those. Let's put both of those resources in the description down below. Yeah, for people to Google. I guess the one that's just coming to my mind right now is, you know, for me with my skin journey, because I think that was, especially in the beginning, my biggest, like creating that self-control practice was very difficult and took a very long time. So whether it's with food or with something else, I found that out of sight, out of mind for me. So there was certain things like I just couldn't have in my house because I knew I didn't trust myself. I would definitely eat it if I knew it was there. So this is more of the long lines of food. But like even at work, they would constantly have birthday parties and tons of craft service and cupcakes and whatever. And I just felt like it was best for me not to attend those things. And if I did, I would go down, sing, and then go back to my desk. And like, I just wouldn't, you know, I'd try to avoid temptation as much as I could.
Yeah.
And same thing with my money struggle. You know, I think not stopping into a Starbucks to get a coffee on my way to work or something was really tough for me in the beginning when I started to really, you know, bring my own coffee and start to really think more along those lines. So it's just having a plan. It's like either, you know, out of sight, out of mind, don't tempt yourself, keep it, so, you know, don't have it in your house or whatever, or just have a plan. Like when I would go to a party, I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm going to drink. I'm going to have seltzer and I'm going to put some, you know, little splash of juice in it. People won't question that I'm not drinking alcohol. They'll think I'm drinking. Like I would always have a plan. Yeah. So it's just about planning. So like even the money thing, bringing my own coffee or like having something, whatever. That's kind of my little pearl of wisdom. So I think that's a great place to wrap it up, ladies. So, all right, well, if you love our conversations, please click like and subscribe to our channel. Tell a friend, spread the word. And please also let us know if you have any comments or questions, or if there's a topic that you would like to request. We'd love that. So we'll see you soon. Stay safe, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.